Long before gardening apps, chemical fertilizers, and shiny metal tools, there was a quieter way to grow things. A way learned by watching the sky, touching the soil, and listening instead of measuring. Our grandmothers didn't chase perfect lawns or instant results. They worked with patience, scraps from the kitchen, and an understanding that the land remembers how it's treated. Today, we're stepping back into those gardens, where nothing was wasted and everything had a purpose. 1. Rice revival. When plants looked tired even after watering, Grandma didn't rush to buy anything. She reached into the pantry instead. A small handful of uncooked rice scattered gently at the base of a struggling plant was her quiet solution. As the rice absorbed moisture and softened underground, it slowly fed beneficial microorganisms living in the soil. Those microbes, in turn, helped roots absorb nutrients more efficiently. It wasn't an instant fix, but over time leaves lifted, color returned, and growth steadied. Grandma believed the soil needed care just as much as the plant itself. 2. Eggshell armor. Eggshells never went straight to the trash. They were rinsed, dried in the sun, and crushed by hand until sharp but manageable. Sprinkled around delicate plants, the shells served two roles at once. Slowly breaking down, they added calcium to strengthen stems and prevent blossom end rot. At the same time, their rough edges discouraged slugs and crawling pests without harming anything else. It was protection without poison, a solution that worked quietly day after day. 3. Leaf listening. Grandma's most reliable gardening habit was observation. She studied leaves the way others read weather reports. Pale yellow signaled hunger. Curling edges hinted at stress. Spots warned of moisture problems. By noticing these signs early, she made small adjustments. More shade, less water, richer soil, long before plants failed. She didn't guess. She listened. And because of that, her garden rarely surprised her in the wrong way. 4. Bread feeding. Stale bread wasn't wasted or thrown away. Instead, it returned to the soil. Torn into pieces and buried shallowly, old bread fermented slowly underground. That fermentation fed microorganisms, loosened compacted dirt, and improved soil texture over time. It was especially useful in dry or tired garden beds. Grandma understood that healthy soil came from feeding what lived beneath the surface, not just what showed above it. 5. Dawn watering. Watering was never done in the heat of the day. Grandma waited for early morning or just before sunset, when the soil could truly absorb moisture. At these times, evaporation was low and roots stayed cool. Leaves dried naturally as the day warmed, reducing disease and sun scorch. It wasn't about convenience, it was about timing. Plants, she believed, followed natural rhythms, and gardens thrived when humans respected them. 6. Shoe planters. Worn-out shoes and boots were never considered useless. Filled with soil and planted with flowers or herbs, they became sturdy little planters. Their thick material held warmth during cool nights and protected roots from sudden temperature drops. Placed along fences or porches, they added character while serving a real purpose. Grandma saw value in things others had already discarded. 7. Vegetable water. After boiling vegetables, the water was left to cool on the stove, never poured down the drain. That cloudy liquid held minerals and nutrients leached from the vegetables during cooking. Once cooled, it was poured directly onto garden soil. Plants responded quickly, leaves deepening in color and growth becoming steadier. It was one of the simplest ways Grandma recycled nutrition back into the earth. 8. Flower shielding. Vegetables were rarely planted alone. Flowers filled the gaps, creating a living barrier around crops. Their scents confused pests, while their colors attracted pollinators. Marigolds, nasturtiums, and other hardy blooms worked as both decoration and defense. Grandma's garden looked beautiful, but every flower had a job to do. 9. Garlic guarding. Garlic wasn't only grown for the kitchen. Planted near vulnerable crops, it acted as a natural deterrent. Its strong scent discouraged insects and underground pests from settling in. Garlic stood guard silently, offering constant protection without chemicals. Grandma trusted its presence more than any store-bought solution. 10. Paper mulch. Old newspapers were layered carefully between rows of plants. Soaked with water and covered lightly with soil, they blocked sunlight from weeds while keeping moisture locked in. Over time, the paper broke down completely, enriching the soil. It was weed control moisture retention, and compost all in one, done without spending a dime. 11. Vinegar sunburn. For weeds growing in cracks or along paths, Grandma waited for the hottest day. A small amount of vinegar applied under direct sunlight dried weeds quickly and thoroughly. Used carefully, it avoided damage to nearby plants and didn't linger in the soil. It was precise, patient work, never careless. 12. Coffee grounding. Used coffee grounds were scattered lightly into soil, never piled thick. They improved drainage, added organic matter, and fed plants that preferred slightly acidic conditions. Slugs disliked the texture, staying away from tender leaves. Morning routines quietly strengthened evening growth. 13. Seed soaking. Before planting, seeds were soaked overnight in warm water. This softened their outer shells and jump-started germination. When planted the next day, seeds sprouted faster and more evenly. Grandma believed the beginning determined the outcome, and she treated it with care. 14. Hand pruning. Instead of sharp tools, fingers did much of the pruning. Spent flowers were pinched gently, encouraging plants to focus energy on new growth. This reduced damage and allowed precise control. Touch mattered. Plants responded better when handled with care. 15. Leaf mulching. Fallen leaves were never seen as waste. Spread around plants, they insulated roots, protected soil from erosion, and held moisture steady. Over time, they broke down into rich humus. The end of one season quietly fed the next. Final thoughts. These weren't tricks learned from manuals or gadgets. They were lessons shaped by patience, repetition, and quiet observation. Gardening back then wasn't about control, it was about cooperation. And maybe that's why it worked so well. If these memories stirred something familiar or taught you something new, like the video and subscribe to American Restored for more forgotten wisdom worth keeping alive.